is 9:30 p.m. on January 30th, 2025. As an airline pilot myself, I wanted to get on here and see if I could help uh, mitigate some confusion regarding the American Eagle crash that occurred yesterday around this time on January 29th. Purely just trying to cast away any confusion on this subject area, and I was going to offer my thoughts on why the pilots of the CRJ decided to go to runway 33, and also I was going to show you just how close these aircraft could be operating to each other with the current setup here at DCA. And then we'll review the flight data from Flight Radar 24, and I'll give you a satellite view of what that looked like overlaid. Currently I'm on ForeFlight. We're actually going to look at this in satellite. Now, DC's operations are kind of busy. Runway 119 here, this north-south runway, is among the busiest single runways in the United States. It sees an enormous amount of demand, as you can see. Lots of gates here, therefore lots of departures and arrivals on one single runway. Now, to alleviate some of the congestion of this, the air traffic control here at Reagan has decided it would be a good idea, if an aircraft's performance can allow it, they should be able to land on runway 33. Now, there's typically only 3 aircraft that can do this. It would be this 175 right here, this Embraer 170 or 175, or it could be either of these two. This would be a A319 made by Airbus, or this, the CRJ 700. Now, what this allows you to do is increase efficiency at an airport by allowing an aircraft to line up on runway 1 and having the arrival aircraft, which would have landed on runway 1, land on runway 33. This saves them 20 or 30 seconds of getting this plane out onto the runway, communicating its takeoff clearance, transitioning the flight controls to the pilot flying, whether that's the FO or not, and putting the thrust up to takeoff, which all cannot happen within 5 seconds. Again, you're operating a large piece of equipment, and so you want to take it out there cautiously but expeditiously. So basically, once the aircraft lands on runway 33 and crosses the intersection of these two runways, this flight all the way down here can now depart. And then hopefully, if you have it lined up correctly, this aircraft should be off the ground and turning up the Potomac like you've seen in that video, just as another plane is coming down here to land. Now, what's cool about this is it almost doubles the efficiency of the airport by allowing almost a single takeoff runway and a single landing runway. Now, like I said, only a few aircraft can do this, so they're not able to actually double the efficiency because other types of aircraft serve this airport, but it's something that is possible. Now, secondly, what I'd like to talk about is, or rather, let me summarize that this plane, when it made its dog leg off to the side, went right and then back to the left to runway 33, this was an extremely common procedure by this company, PSA. um, an extremely common procedure, ex- uh, completely doable by the CRJ 700, and that's why I find it really interesting that people are sort of confused why the pilot accepted it. Helps the efficiency, helps them get to their gates quicker, because instead of taxiing here and then all the way down, they just exit the runway right into the gate area. So it's super efficient, super safe, and extremely standard for the airlines to be doing this. Here's the caveat though, is that if we go back to trigonometry from high school, we can actually figure out the preferred height that the aircraft should cross this uh, bank of the Potomac River at, where we know helicopters will be transitioning north and southbound along. We go over here to our trusty calculator, and if we input 3 degrees here for a standard ILS glide slope, again, I'm saying a lot of fancy words. All this means is that this is the descent angle at which a commercial airliner approaches a runway on. It is a standard 3-degree glide slope, and while that can change in some instances, it is the predominant amount of degrees for which airplane approach runways. The next thing, we'd plug that in for angle A, and the next thing we can do is plug in our known of 1 mile, or rather 1 nautical mile for B. A nautical mile is 6,076 feet. We press calculate, and this will give us the number we're looking for, which is A, altitude. You can see that it would be 318 feet above the ground. Again, we're talking only in above ground level, AGL. This is not mean sea level. So realistically, it would be about 318 feet, plus whatever the field elevation is here at Ronald Reagan, which, according to this chart, is about 14 feet. That's what this number is. And so if we do 14 plus 18, we'll just call it 330 feet to be kind of even. And we know the helicopters transition north-south along this bank at or below 200 feet. So if the airliner was perfectly on its glide slope and at its most stable altitude of 330 feet, and the helicopter was at its highest level, the most amount of decision making time, it would be at 200 feet, which only offers about 130 feet of clearance. Now, it's not a whole lot. It's about a third of this football field right here. Right, so you've got the end zone line right here, right? And we'll go up to about the 40-yard line. So that's the amount of space between these aircraft as they go above each other, and that's being conservative or liberal. No, that's that's overestimating. It's arguably closer than that. So as this plane came around, and you can actually see that this should be pretty damn close. He's about 400 feet right here, right? Which is pretty good, and you can see he's not quite over it, but he'll probably lose a couple more feet as he descends towards the runway. So this just shows that the pilot was at the correct altitude to be doing this maneuver. And the crew was operating this in a safe and stable manner, according to company guidelines, it appears. Whether or not something happened between this amount of time, we don't know. Again, I could be completely wrong and something could have happened to the crew and this could all change. I'm not going to raise any. I'll let the investigators do their work and then we can talk about the outcome of the investigation. But I just wanted to come on here, show you why they accepted 3-3, explain that procedure to you, um, it being a common one, excuse me, and then offer you a little insight into how close these aircraft operate here daily. As always, thoughts and prayers are with the uh, folks and families of the 67 people who lost their lives yesterday. As an airline pilot myself, we take pride in knowing that we are uh, one of the safest modes of transportation any American can take. And it's times like these where we really excel at figuring out what went wrong, changing it, and complying with it over and over and over again in order to make the skies the safest mode of transportation for all Americans. Um, Again, not casting any blame. There are always things people can do better. I'm eager to see what this investigation comes out with because for the first airliner accident in over 15 years, there will most likely be a lot of changes to the way aircraft operate in and out of DCA. And I'm eager to see what that looks like. And like I said, the best thing that we do is learn from our mistakes. Make sure that things like this never happen again. Thank you for watching, and I will upload more once I know more. And other than that, fly safe. Have a good night.